Hello and welcome back to part 3 of Lazy Afternoon. Today we're going to work on this side of the riverbank itself, and we'll get most of the river done as well. So to start with, I'm putting in some extra hedging here. I thought it needed a little bit more. You might notice I put in a couple of little orange dots next to the house. I thought it would just add a little tiny pop of colour by the house. I may even go back yet and put a few more bits of colour in there as well. I'm trying to add some highlight and shade to this hedge here. There you go, you can see the hedging that I've put in. It's nothing precise, as you can see, it's just adding more and more, and as always I like to do it in layers, just adding little bits of different colours here and there. I'm just really working more on the shading and things at the moment. I'm constantly removing little stray hairs as well. I do apologise for my hand and arm getting in the way quite a lot. It's very difficult to do a close-up and not have your hands in the way, so I'll do my best to keep cutting those bits out when I can. And you might have spotted the Harry Potter jumper as well. I had to wear the jumper to my daughter's wedding, so I had to go as Professor McGonagall, but I thought I'd nip myself a Harry Potter jumper, so I think it's Ravenclaw my house is supposed to be. As you know, you always do as you're told when your daughter tells you what she wants at her wedding. Now at this point I'm just going to work on this little tree at the back, not much, just to give it a little bit of colour to the tree trunk so it looks like it's a tree trunk. I'm trying to make it look like you've got another field behind the two hedges there, so I'm going to do the little tree trunk and I will put in a bit of a gate as well in a minute. I was looking at this little bit of hedge by the tree and I decided it needed a bit of lightening so that you could see the depth going through the hedge, but I made sure I used a different green for that lightning as I had on the leaves of the tree, because otherwise it would have all just been part of the tree leaves. Here you can see the gate that I'm putting in. It's okay. I didn't like it too much when I liked the gate there, but I thought it wasn't accurate enough for me. I didn't like it. At the time when I was doing it, it was a little bit sloppy, so I go back in and I square up the bits in the middle where you can see the grass through it, because it's that kind of thing on my paintings that irritates me if I get it wrong, and I have to keep fiddling with it for ages until I get it all sorted out. You'll see on the left hand side that I've started to put a little bit of green, just very vague green, on the ground just to give some more colour, and for some reason I missed out showing you I put the shadow of the tree in as well, so now the tree's anchored to the ground. Here I'm just putting some shadow under the hedge itself, just so it makes it look a little bit more realistic. It needed a little definition. although there would have been some long grass, so I was toying with the idea of not doing it because of the long grass that would hide the shade, or putting it in, but I thought it actually looked better with it. Here I'm just changing the shape of the tree by the church, because when I kept looking at it, all I could see is a diagonal line. So I'll keep working on that little bit till it stops looking like a diagonal line to me. I still think, having looked at it now while I'm editing, that it still needs a little bit more work, so I should go back and deal with that. I do definitely recommend taking a photograph or a screenshot or anything of your picture and looking at it in a different way like that, because you'll see things that you don't see when you're actually working on it. This is quite often what I do, because when I come back and I'm editing it now, I see things that I have to make notes on a bit of paper so I can go back and sort it out. But you wouldn't, I just don't spot them when I'm actually doing the picture itself at the time. So that's a little tip I'd give you, is to take a photograph if you can, or even just put it up somewhere and walk away and leave it. Because when I finish my pictures, what I do is I actually put them in a frame or up on the wall somewhere, and I live with them for a week or so, and with a notebook, and I just keep writing down things that I spot later on, because it's so important to me to get it as good as I can get it, and I don't always see that stuff at the time. I need a little bit of distance between me and the picture itself, and then I can go back and sort out all the odds and ends. My family think it's funny that I do this, but to me, what's the point of doing something if you can't do it to the best of your ability? And also, I may at some point in the future want to sell it. Well, I don't want to sell something that I'm not happy with. So that's why I make sure I live with it, because if I'm living with it and it irritates me, if I were to sell it, someone else could be living with it and it would irritate them. So I need to get it as perfect as I can get it. That's the only way I could ever let it go. Now here you'll see I'm going to get a small selection of colours. I've got the grass colour, the original base colour, then that's the straw colour that I put over the top earlier in the previous video, just here and there. Then I have a dark green, and you'll see I'm going to have a bit of a lighter green as well. And all these are going to get mixed together, but not so much that you can't see them. And this is going to be the start of the grass, tall grass that grows alongside of the riverbank. Here I'm using that dog brush that I like to use. It's just useful when you've got large bits like this, because you can get it mixed much more quickly and much better than you would do trying to do it by hand. Now you can see the eventual mixture that I get. You can still see bits and pieces of it, but it's lovely because it gives you a natural depths and highlights for the grass. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to lay it so the grass points up as it would grow, and start to fix it in. And this is the same way you'd actually put fur on an animal. So as you can see, I'm going to fold that back over on itself and then just felt it in well. So that gives the illusion by the edge of the bank of the grass growing upright. And I shall work all along the bank doing that. Even though I'm putting these parts along the bank now, I still actually want, once I've done the river and it's all in place, I will go back along this river bank again and add some more bits and pieces, because I don't just want this sort of rigid edge here, and the grasses, I want to have some tufts of reeds and things like that, maybe a rock or two. But this, I need this base in first, because I definitely want to make it look like the grass is growing up, because there's no way I can get that kind of definition further back along the bank into the distance. You can't really see it so well in this close-up, but it does make a difference. If you're following along with this, do remember that the further away the grass gets from you, the less definition and the shorter it's going to be. So although I'm doing this all along the bank right up to the bridge, the grass will seem to get shorter and shorter, and eventually near the bridge I'm just going to do a line of it. It's not going to be upright or anything, it's just going to be the same kind of colouring. And I will go back as well in a little bit with some a few strands of the darker green and just lay them over the tall grass just to give a bit more shadow in some places. Even here you can see how the mixing of the lights and the darks in that grass that I made shows up here, because it's already naturally giving you some depth and some highlights. This is why I try and let the wool that I use work for me, which is why I like to mix things together, because you get things that you wouldn't get otherwise, and it can look very subtle. So that's one of the biggest reasons I like to mix my colours. I very rarely put just a plain colour down, and you can clearly see here how it makes a difference by mixing it together. I just thought I would put a little bit of shading here behind the roof of the house because it wasn't standing out enough for me. So that's what I did there. And this little bit here, I just decided randomly that I was going to have start of a pathway coming down to the riverbank so that someone could come to the other side, you know, a kiddie might like to come along and try and catch a few fish, that kind of thing, as I did when I was a kid. So I thought I'd better have somewhere for them to stand. And as I enjoyed putting an upright tree in elsewhere, I thought I'd pop one here as well because otherwise I didn't want to have just a couple of random trees like that. I wanted to make it look like there were a few growing around. And I think it's also nice to have some varying shapes and things in the background. And I've had to go back to those popular trees that I'd put there before because I did like them, I just felt it wasn't right. So I needed an extra tree in there because you naturally seem to find it better when you have threes of things, odd numbers. And I think that was my problem, was that I had two of them and it didn't look right to me, so I went back and added a third, which I think looks a lot better. Here I'm just blocking in the fisherman because I don't want to lose him once I start making the river. I'm just blocking him in basically with whatever colour I put my hands on because I will actually go over him and do him properly in the final video. So at the moment this is just marking where he is so I don't lose him. Now we're starting on the river, and what I've done is I've put some just light green, very thinly, down onto the river itself, and I'm just marking out the bank with it. I just like to have it as a start of something. It's just very fine, you can hardly see it. And I'm not worried if I go over the little fisherman too much. This is the bridge I had to lift up, and I'm just trying to put some of the river now behind the bridge itself. This is why I really probably should have waited to put the bridge in till later on. And the light parts of the river are all the bits I saved from doing the sky, because I obviously, the river would reflect the sky, so I want to make sure I use the same kind of colours. Now this is a blend of the dark green that I showed you earlier, the blue parts of the sky, and just a touch of brown. And I lay it on very thinly, and you'll see because I added some of the sky, the blue of the sky to it, you start to get like ripple effects. It's very subtle, but that's why I like to mix it like that, because you have to remember that the only reason you see the water is because it's reflecting everything else. So I try to use the colours that I've already got and just mix them together to make the river. That way it's more realistic and it matches in with everything. And these bits I'm putting on the bridge, they're extra long because that's the leg of the bridge and the shadow that I'm putting in. And the shadows would be vertical. So I will separate this off in a minute with a little bit of white. Well, not white, the light blue from the sky, but you'll see that as I go along. I also wanted to make the bridge look a little bit more sturdy, a bit more like it's standing there. So I've added some little bit of darker brown underneath just to widen the legs a little and to give it a bit of shade. I also want to go back and do a little bit more to the water on the other side of the bridge so you don't get such a dramatic line. As you can see, I'm adding in a little bit of the blue from the sky, and it's just separating off the legs of the bridge from its shadow now. This again is just some more of that same colour I showed you earlier, and that is the blue of the sky, and I'm now going to start to add it to the main part of the river. I'm going to blend the two things together, the blue of the sky and the mixture I made to make the darker bits. So you'll see that, and I use the tip of my needle to pull it, make sure that you keep the water lines level, because if you have them going up or down, you will make your river look like it's flowing in a weird direction. So it's very important when you put these colours on that you keep them level. And now I'm just going to build it up with those colours, as I said. And you'll see me blending over one colour with the light colour and then over the light colour with the dark colour, because that's what's going to give the movement in the water. This is another one of those situations where you might find a reference picture useful to get some idea of where the lights and the darks might go. But do remember that the darks obviously are the shadow, maybe from the bank or something else hanging over the river. So if you're using your reference picture, just be aware of that fact, but it will give you an idea of how the lights and darks mix. You can see I'm using my needle almost like a paintbrush, and I'm just pulling it backwards and forwards, trying very best to keep the lines as straight as I can. And this is what I do over the little figure. I just felt over him, and then I just snip up those bits that have gone over him and move them out of the way. That way I won't lose him. You can see how it's starting to come together now though, and obviously this is the shadow of the church. Not sure, not shadow, reflection. Not sure I'm happy with it yet. I may go back and change it. But again, you need to keep it vertical. As I did this, I realised I'd made him too long. And I think, looking at it, I probably need to move it over to the right slightly as well. So even though I do this in the picture I'm showing you now, I may go back off camera and move it over just a touch. It's another one of those things, as I was saying before, that sometimes you don't see it at the time, but I'll go and have a look at it when I've finished editing this and see what I think. Now I'm adding very thinly some layers of the river colour over the top, because obviously I need to break up the reflection with the water, and you'll see as I do it as well in a minute, I will make the actual reflection crooked. I shall make it look like it's bent in on the edges and things, so it goes with the ripples of the water. Here I'm putting in, I think, the reflections of those 3 poplar trees, but I do go over this because as I get to the bigger areas of the river, I will be putting more base colours in so that I can then go back and work more on the tops of it later. But as you can see, it's just very thin layers, and I'll keep building this up because obviously I don't want the green from the felt that I'm felting onto to come through, so very slowly I will be covering all that up. And as I've said before, being felt, well, you can pull things off or add more to it, so even if I were to cover up the whole of that reflection, I could go and put some more back in. It really wouldn't matter. It's a very versatile thing to work with. As I work the river towards me as well, I add a little of the darker blue into it, because when you look at the sky, the distant sky is paler, and over your head it always looks a little darker. So as this water is getting nearer to me, I'm reflecting the illusion that the sky is darker over my head into the water as well. This is some slightly different mixture that I made, but I think I added too much green to it, because although it looked alright when I was doing it, looking back at it now, it looks too green. So I'm not too worried, because it really was just a filler colour on the main part of the river, and I will go back in the next video and we'll work on that so it won't really show in the end anyway. But it just gave me an idea of what the river's going to look like, but it's definitely too green. I don't have any trees or anything near the water's edge there that's kind of green, so it's not reflecting anything. It's just I say just a filler, and I will go back and put lots of colours over the top of it, yeah, in the next video. Although it's the wrong colour, it certainly does start to bring the river to life. I think it begins to give you a feel of how it's going to look when it's finished. And to me that's always quite exciting because I always find water a little daunting. So I'm quite pleased to see that it's starting to look like water. If you're enjoying these videos and you're finding them in any way helpful, would you please consider giving me a like and subscribing to the channel, because it will help the channel to grow and it makes such a difference. It shows me that you're interested in what I'm doing and that I can be of some use to you. Because I've noticed on my analytics that you get with this that lots of people are watching but not many are subscribing, and I'm not sure whether that means that it's not really what people want or that they're just not thinking about it at the time. So if you are enjoying it, would you please consider subscribing? It would really be helpful and I would very much appreciate it. Thank you very much. Well, this is going to be the end of video 3, and I hope you've all enjoyed it. Next time we will work on the rest of the river, but the river bank, the other side where the fisherman's sitting, the fisherman, and there's going to be a nice big tree on the edge as well. So I hope you look forward to that one, and I've enjoyed your company for this time. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!